And this is with respect to a parliamentarian who's been under serious scrutiny by the ethics panel. And in the Cash for Queries case, we are given to understand sources telling CNN News 18, a mega CNN News 18 exclusive, that the recommendation of the committee could be, the suggestion could be expulsion of Ms. Mahua Moitra from the 17th Lok Sabha. Payal Mehta joins us with details. Payal, you've got this news for us, breaking here on the right stand on CNN News 18. Go ahead, please.
Anand, the committee report has been circulated to all the members just a short while ago. We've managed to get an exclusive detail of that report, and that report essentially says that report will be adopted tomorrow in that meeting that will happen. And the report essentially says that there is enough evidence, on the part of Mahua Moitra to have actually shared a login ID and password with businessman Darshan Hiranandani. And going by the evidences and going by what has appeared before the committee has recommended that Mahua Moitra should be expelled as a member of parliament. Remember, this recommendation will be further sent to the Lok Sabha Speaker for his approval. And after this, when the government, brings in the winter session of Parliament, on the first day of the winter session of Parliament, there will be a motion which will be moved by the government to expel Mahua Moitra as a member of Parliament. That's number one. Secondly, there is also action which is pending against Danish Ali. Remember, Danish Ali has been using derogatory terms to address the chairman and other members of Parliament. That is something which has also been documented in that report. And essentially, on the basis of that, the call will be taken on the Speaker. From what I understand from the parliamentary rules, either the Speaker can ask for Danish Ali to be expelled for the entire next winter session of Parliament, or probably lesser punishment. The onus will be on the Speaker, but the big breaking news is that trouble is going to be there for Mahua Moitra, and even so more, because the committee says that as far as the other issues are concerned and other impropriety charges against are concerned, the committee will recommend that the government should have a strong and in-depth legal inquiry into the matter.
Right. Earlier in the day, we had Nishikant Dubey saying that his request to the Lokpal, and the Lokpal has recommended a CBI investigation, and that's been admitted. But in this case, do we have access, Payal, through our sources? What are the key points or the recommendations that have been made, or key observations that have been made?
Like I said, Anand, and we broke this earlier, on your show itself, that every word that has been said by either party or even those people who appeared as witnesses, all of this has gone on record, and that's formed part of the committee. I mean, one could not have even gone through the committee report. It's an exhaustive 500-page committee. But the moral of the story in this matter is that, yes, they have found Mahua guilty of having shared a login ID and password, which is something which is not as per the parliamentary conduct, and that's the reason the ethics committee has stepped in. So Mahua Moitra will be expelled as a member of parliament. That's the recommendation that they will make. After which, of course, like I said, the Speaker has to give his final approval, because it was on the Speaker's recommendation that this committee was asked to examine the entire matter. We've seen 2 meetings really take place. We saw the first meeting with Darshan Jay Anand and Nishikant Dubey both appeared before the panel. They given their evidences. They spoke about what mattered and why they actually had made this complaint. And after which, you saw in the last session, it was rather...
Well, has the panel found her behavior unethical? Have they found it, do they find merit in it being called a criminal conduct, or even breach of perhaps the code of parliamentary procedure and parliamentary parlance behavior? Is she in contempt of the House?
On the basis of the fact that she had given her login ID, she had given her login ID and password to somebody who was not authorized, as that person accessed the detail from overseas. We've also known that, probably the IT ministry had also submitted a detailed report through NIC about how many logins really happened, from where. So all of these details were there for everybody to really see, failing which Mahua was not able to really justify in a way, because she stormed out of that last meeting, did not even answer the questions that were asked by the panel, including, who paid for her overseas travel, how many times did she communicate with Darshan Hiranandani through the entire period of the last 4 years, and even after the complaint was really made. So there were no answers that Mahua was able to give. So that was completely unethical, because this is part of parliamentary proceedings. And we've been reporting, Anand, that when you are a member of parliament, you log in to your ID and password, but you also have a OTP which comes to your number, and that is only to be used by you or your staff. It's not supposed to be given to somebody who's an outsider, and in this case, it's a businessman who's been given access to it. Mahua has, of course, given out her own reasons, but the panel did not find any merit in this. Remember, this report is going to be adopted tomorrow, is what I'm given to understand, and probably that's the reason all the MPs have been asked to be present there. So the recommendations are very, very clear as far as the other conducts are concerned, because remember, Nishikant Dubey and Jay Anand have also said that Mahua had made financial impropriety, but that is not for the panel to really examine, because the panel is not a body which can actually examine criminal complaints or complaints of financial impropriety. And that's one of the reasons the panel in its wisdom has asked for a deeper inquiry and an in-depth inquiry by some sort of mechanism by the government of India.
Now, is this recommendation that we have accessed via sources, Payal, do we know, have you been able to understand whether it's unanimous or is it by majority within the panel?
A very interesting question that you asked me, Anand, and I must thank you for asking me this, that this report is going to be adopted tomorrow. They'll go through this entire report. But one has to remember that out of the 15 members in the committee, about 8 to 9 are BJP and NDA MPs. In fact, Mr. Godse, who is a member of the Shiv Sena from the Shinde faction, is also part of the committee. There is Mr. Balashori, who hasn't come for the last 2 meetings. He's also part of the panel. He's from the YSR Congress. We are given to understand that a lot of members of parliament from the opposition camp will be giving in their dissent notes. But when the committee clears the report, it is adopted either by voice vote or unanimously. Even if it's by voice vote, the BJP has the adequate numbers in that panel, and should there be a tie that really happens, then the chairman is allowed to cast 2 votes as well. So that's where the technicality really stands. And what I'm also given to understand, and I must tell our viewers this thing very, very clearly, that we are given to understand by way of sources that out of the 5 or 6 opposition MPs, 1 MP of the Congress party might not even come tomorrow, might not even give the dissent note, is what we are given to understand from our sources.
So they may abstain, and by that way the entire quorum also comes down. Now, will some of the other opposition MPs also do the same? It will be interesting that the panel will go to vote and this resolution and the recommendation will be adopted by the ethics panel sometime on Thursday. Payal Mehta with that exclusive that's breaking here on The Right Stand on CNN News 18.